departure into the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9 clear to land.
Okay, all right. Let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see. What we got? A tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger. Down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here. You cleared land on 9 all the way to the white dot. Go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, and let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Good evening. Welcome to this Thursday night work meeting. I hope you have bought your own beer and drinks, and we will only be drinking in a specific and limited way. So let's hope that you all enjoy that. Johnny, we should be. Yep. It wasn't me, Dan. It wasn't me. It was bring your own. Didn't you read? Didn't you get people? Just spotted, Johnny, just in case you haven't. I'm sure you have. That our guest has cleared into the ether. So interesting, wasn't it? So welcome to this evening. We've got a whole loads of great stuff for you. Hopefully we've got Kanchana Gamage joining us later, although have disappeared there. So I think it's probably time we moved on and thanked our sponsor, SkyDemon. Thank you very much for sponsoring the live stream. We couldn't do it without you. Very much appreciated. And here is your top SkyDemon tip for this week.
Hi, I'm Hannah from SkyDemon, and this is another top tip. If you find that you've zoomed out very far, after viewing a very large NOTAM, for example, just tap anywhere on the map to zoom back in. You can also hold your finger on the zoom buttons to revert back to the default scale. For more information about using SkyDemon, take a look at our user guide, which you can access from our website.
Brilliant. A short but useful tip, and managed to get in if it zooms out because you're looking at a very large NOTAM. I have a feeling that the SkyDemon team and Rob and Hannah have got a bit of a thing about some of the bonkers NOTAMs we get.
Yes.
Of which there's no great shortage, is there? So there you go. Right.
Yeah, there's still no comparison though of Hannah's large NOTAM and Rob's absurd NOTAM.
Absurd NOTAM. No, that's true. That was a point in time, wasn't it? It was absurd NOTAMs like this. You can get rid of them. Good. Right. In that case, I think it's probably time to bring in young Simon before we move on to anything else. Just because I've forgotten you a few times when you've been recorded, Simon, and we'll kind of put you in at random places later. So let's bring in Simon.
Evening all.
Make him up top right. Let's give him a.
I can do random and I can do young even better. I'll pay you later in.
How are you doing, Simon?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Got some flying in this week, which is superb. Been doing some PFLs, been doing some nav as well. So very enjoyable. Not solo yet still. Weather's not quite been there. We had some fog around the airfield today, so not quite there, but hopefully soon.
Let's hope so. Good. Well, in that case, if you'd like to take us away with the weather.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Will do. And we get very excited as weathermen about pictures like this. This is the forecast, Scooty, for tomorrow. It actually is for the Midlands, but actually for many parts of central and southern England, it could be the same. The reason I've put this up for you is because people very often ask me about Scooty diagrams and the information you can get. Look down the bottom of that Scooty, right down the bottom. You see the red line and the light blue line. That's temperature, red. Light blue line is dew point. Notice how they come together. And then notice how they go apart quite sharply. That's the classic sign of fog. Yes, I know, not what we want to see, but this is the picture early on in the morning. It does improve during the morning, but I've just put this up here so that you can see how useful Scooties are, and you can get hold of them for free on the internet. Have a look at them because they really do open a complete new chapter for us as pilots. Anyway, that's just me being a complete weather geek. Let me show you the chart then for Friday. High pressure in control, centered over the Midlands through Friday, but really it's affecting most of the country. Got a warm front that's up towards the north of Scotland. That's going to be bringing low clouds, some drizzle there. But for the rest of us, it does start off fairly murky, fairly foggy. As I say, I was flying around today and there was so much fog to the north of Halfpenny Green, so kind of through the Shropshire Plain. I could see it down through the north of Birmingham, and also got reports it was all down towards the east of Birmingham as well as across southern parts of England. So it is pretty widespread out there, but it is breaking, and it will do that through Friday as well. What I've put up here for you today, this is the high resolution, so this is about as good as it gets. Visibility forecast from the UK Met Office. This is for tomorrow at midday. Red colour showing us visibility is below 1,000 metres, so think of it as fog. The green colours are visibility between 4 and 8 kilometres. You see, even at midday tomorrow, that there's still some fog around, but actually, give it an hour, most of that burns away, although there will be some patches. So there is some flying to be found. Now, for Saturday, still got high pressure in control. Relatively few isobars means that we get light winds. But fog loves light winds. It's a myth that it has to be calm to get fog. It doesn't. What fog really likes is a wind speed between about 3 and 7 knots. And we do get that on Saturday. So I think some dense fog to come through Saturday morning. Again, focused really across England and Wales, although southern Scotland may get some this time. It will lift slowly through Saturday morning. And then for most of us, actually, it's not a bad day. Broken cloud. Base is probably coming in at about 2 to 2,500 feet, but always that slant visibility is not going to be particularly great. And then for Sunday, weak front comes south on Sunday. This cold front kind of performs a bit of a task in that it brings drier air in. So I think less of a chance of fog on Sunday morning. You see there on the visibility forecast, just these splodges of green every so often. So 4 to 8 kilometer visibility where those are, but generally you see we've got white colors, which means generally 10 kilometers plus. So for most of us, bases around 2,500 to 3,000 feet, decent flying conditions. Although again, northern Scotland, weak fronts hanging around up there and bringing 1 or 2 spots of rain. So overall, it's the mist and the fog that we need to watch out for this weekend. Do bear in mind the TAFs will only give us a bit of a guide, and the same for Form 215 as well. Fog is a forecasting nightmare. Forecasters hate it. So, you know, as much as we as pilots hate it, forecasters hate it as well. Just give it lots and lots of leeway. Don't play games with it is what I would say about the fog that forms this weekend. And if you want to know more about fog, we talk about it at Aviation Weather School. I've got one place left on Aviation Weather School on the Saturday mornings of the 5th and the 12th of February between 09:30 and 12:30 hours, presented live online by me directly to you. Sorry, you can't have everything, can you? Go to weatherschool.co.uk, more information there. And to book your place now, have a fantastic weekend, and let's hope that you stay fog free. Bye for now.
Fantastic. There was
Thank
a
you
bit
very
of
much,
a
Simon.
battle of pressures going on in the comments as Simon was forecasting. Leah Fay said, I got 1,040 as a QNH today. But then Claire B came along and said, I had 1,043 yesterday.
I didn't even manage to leave my house yesterday. Right, so what have we got coming up tonight? Well, we got some news. We've got Kanchana, we've got Fantasy Hangar, we got all sorts of other bits and pieces. An update on Fly 2020, the Fly 2022 in 2022 project, which is gaining momentum. So lots of stuff going on there. But I think it's probably time we just move straight to the news. So let's head off with some not amazingly great news, really. In fact, some bloody awful news. So, Dave, over to you to deliver this one.
Right, well, we're referring to Coventry Airport, and on Tuesday, Warwick District Council Planning Committee met at a special meeting, and it gave approval to the planning application to build a gigafactory on the site of Coventry Airport. The approval was specifically for a gigafactory, so if something else happens, they haven't actually got approval for it. Anyway, John Gilder of the General Aviation Awareness Council and also the All-Party Parliamentary Group on General Aviation was there, and he said various opinions against the planning application were listened to, but in fact, the whole thing was washed through because it was clearly a done deal. But John's view actually was quite interesting. I spoke to him earlier today, and he said he thought it was a spectacular own goal by Warwick District Council. They've approved a toxic manufacturing plant in a greenbelt location with Coventry City immediately downwind. This is referring to the process that happens in a gigafactory, which is metals and toxic substances and slurry and all sorts of things. Anyway, because it's greenbelt, the plan will have to go before the Secretary of State, Michael Gove, who has been supportive of efforts to save Fair Oaks. But who knows which way he'll swing here. There's a lot of local pressure. Warwick District Council will get a huge windfall in business rates. Coventry City Council will have a big employer. Rigby Group, the current operators of the airport, will have a windfall too because the early ending of their lease, having run down the airport over recent years to make it unviable. And in case you disagree with that statement, it's closed Sundays and Mondays. It's VFR movements only. The LS doesn't work. So how that's supposed to work as a major airport, who knows? Anyway, and it's also worth pointing out that Rigby have another number airports under their control. So we need to keep a watch on those as well. The only bright spot, I guess, amongst all this, it's going to put renewed and extra pressure to make Wellesbourne Airfield work. Wellesbourne is in the patch of Stratford District Council, but Stratford District Council and Warwick District Council are about to merge and become one authority. Stratford still has £1 million in its capital budget to buy the airfield, a compulsory purchase. So let's hope something comes of that. One other small bit of news that came out, talking to John, is that a proposal for a strategic airfield network prepared by John and the All-Party Parliamentary Group on General Aviation has been endorsed by Grant Shapps, the Secretary of State, and passed to Aviation Minister Robert Courts to implement. It's unlikely to happen in time to help Coventry, but the idea is to freeze development on any more airfields for the next 5 years while an assessment is made of what we have, what those airfields need in terms of help and development, and where gaps need filling. So there's some sort of good news to come out of all this. It does look like we're going to lose Coventry Airport.
I must admit, I thought the planning permission wasn't linked to a gigafactory. I thought they just managed to get change of sort of outline planning permission and change of use. So because I was looking for someone to take a bet that there'll never be a gigafactory on there, but there'll quite likely be a whole bunch of other industrial stuff instead. If
you look at the planning application itself, it's very specific and even describes the process going to go on there. They have to get approval from, they have to get the agreement of the Environment Agency to deal with all the wastewater that they're going to have, which is going to be fairly toxic stuff.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Grant Shapps and Robert Courts, on hearing that a major, hard surface airfield is to be lost, are gearing up with their plans for how they're going to replace. One goes, and maybe they'll have to be a replacement, because that's what happens in surely the country that's trying to be best place for GA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, right, let's move on to some good news, shall we? Some good airfields.
Who's got the good news?
Yeah,
Ed's got the good news. And that is Ed's got all the bloody winners in Fantasy Hangout. He nabbed all the good news.
After the Coventry story, the good news is that fabulous farm strip, Farway Common, is to reopen under new owners. There was some fear after the death of the owner and operator Terry Case, who operated the airfield for many, many years, and it's been the host location for a whole number of fabulous fly-ins in the southwest. New owner James Hartrop, who flies Navion, has been in touch with Ian to say that, quote, somehow we managed to buy an airfield. We've got some big plans. First will be a housewarming fly-in in May, June time. It's fantastic news. The airfield is 9 nautical miles east of Exeter. It closed last year after the sad death of Terry Case. And I think, people were, and obviously the airfield was up for sale. There was some worry that it might be lost, but it's not. So brilliant news. So the first fly in there, I'm sure we'll all be keen to go.
Absolutely fantastic news. I look forward to seeing lots of people there when they open. I'll definitely pop in for a chat. That's good. And carrying on sort of upbeat, positive. Look at summer. It's going to be warm. It's going to be lovely news. Johnny.
Lundy.
Classic fly-ins.
Yeah, Lundy Sunday is back. As you can see there, 31st of July this year. 17 miles off the coast of the mainland. If you want to go and you need to PPR. That's the first thing to say. PPR to Pete White. You can see his details at the bottom there. We'll post this on the events section of fly.co.uk, so you can PPR properly to the correct numbers and all of that. But it's a good news story that it's back, and looking forward to maybe attending my first Lundy Sunday.
That's an amazing opportunity.
I don't know.
Take your spats off if you go, Johnny.
Yeah.
And if you want to know a little bit about what it's like, when did we go, Ed? It wasn't last year, it was the year before, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the COVID year, but it was luckily it came along at a time when there were kind of some restrictions had lifted, hadn't they? And it was pretty much one of the few fly-ins that happened that year, and it was fabulous.
Wasn't it a work trip?
It was definitely a work trip. I remember I had wine, you had cheese.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, no, and somewhere on the internet, on Flyers YouTube site, there's a little video we made about it. It's probably not the best produced video in the world, but it was okay. So go and have a look and get a flavour of Lundy there, and hopefully, if I'm free, then I'll pop down. I'm want to watch Johnny and his spats in the RV6.
Today it clashes with Oshkosh.
No, in that case, I won't be going to Lundy.
They're going to have to cancel Lundy and move it.
Yeah. Okay. No. Well, yeah, I need to get to Oshkosh this year. So thanks for putting that out, Darren. I won't get too excited about that and get PPR. But as much as I love Lundy, Oshkosh is a necessity, I think. But there you go. Right. Talking of necessities, I need to scroll down here. This week, Cirrus launched their 2022 model. So I caught up earlier with Ivy MacGyver, who's been on the show before, for a quick chat. So I made a little video of that this afternoon. So here you go. Ivy MacGyver, hello. Thank you very much for joining us on the Flyer live stream. Cirrus is a bit unusual in that every year it brings a kind of new model, or a new model, not a new model, but a new version of a new model out. And this year's no different. So I think this is your G6 2022 that was announced. When was it announced?
It was actually just announced Tuesday. So the 11th.
Okay, so I've had a quick look, and it seems to be the kind of changes or the upgrades that fall into about 4 different kind of areas. So I think you've got the aesthetics, which we'll kind of run through. You've got the kind of utility bit of it, the performance bit of it, and then I'm assuming there's some price differences as well.
Yeah, so sure thing. So from an aesthetics perspective, we did reformulate the paint system, which allowed us to take a look at the paint colors, introduce some new paint colors, and reformulate some of the old paint colors. So we've got some new paint colors for the premium paint schemes, colors like Evolution Red and Zanzibar, it's bright orange. And then for the Arrive Special Edition, we introduced 2 new colors, Himalayan Salt, which is kind of a rose gold color, and Mykonos, which is a darker, kind of brighter blue. We also upgraded the USB ports. So now there's 2 USB-A and 2 USB-C USB ports, and that USB-C port is high power. It's 60 watts. So you can charge your laptop, your tablet, and it charges your other devices just super, super fast. I'd say that the last thing that we did from a convenience perspective was upgrade the Cirrus IQ app. So in addition to access to your aircraft status and your tech pubs and a locator, we've added a maintenance minder, which will keep track of how much time you've got left until your next oil change, when your warranty is expiring, when your annual is due, and it will send you reminders of when you need to schedule your maintenance. And then we also added a My Trips feature. So you can see all the flights you've taken, and then the highlights and milestones, things like your longest trip, your highest ground speed, things like that.
So I believe it goes a bit faster or burns a bit less fuel.
Yes.
Presumably the engine's the same, so that must have been a drag reduction thing.
Right, that's right. So, when you're looking at increased speed, it's either power increase or drag reduction. So we looked at the drag reduction piece of it and identified 2 places on the airplane where we could make it a little more aerodynamic and kind of optimize that airflow. One was around the wheel pants, where we tightened the tolerances around the tires and added a deflective piece to just make that airflow into the underside of the wheel pants a little bit more aerodynamic. And then we changed the treatment and the seal between the Fiki panel and the paint on the wing and on the horizontal. So we were actually able to find 5 to a little over 7 knots with that treatment.
Sounds like something we probably need to see for ourselves.
Yeah,
someday.
Well, I'm looking forward to coming over to see you, or you are welcome to come visit me anytime.
As soon as we can, we will. What's the price increase for 2022?
Sure. So it's about 5% kind of overall. What that translates to is for the SR20, it's $519,900. For the SR22, it's $719,500. For the 22T, it's $919,500. And for the Arrive Special Edition, it's right around 1.2. So the Arrive is obviously the fully loaded top of the line special edition. Those prices I quoted for the 2022 and 22T are the base prices. If those are all in US dollars. It's very, very interesting just to kind of give you a little bit of a window into what we were seeing in 2020, about 40% of the people who were placing orders in 2020 were new to, 2021 were new to aviation, which was really great. We're seeing people coming into aviation and into the brand. But more interesting than that, upwards of 85% were skewed to the top of the price list. So either XI or Special Edition or GTS, people want all of the things.
Oh, great. Well, I look forward to popping over to Tennessee and coming and trying a few myself.
I look forward to it too.
Thank you very much for your time, Ivy. Have a great day.
Bye.
Did you notice that Ivy had that sort of Ed Hicks-like flick of the hair?
Really? No,
Yeah.
That's much more like this.
I haven't got time to worry about my hair. I just want to feel good about the way I look.
New L'Oreal Elvive Nutri-Vitamin Shampoo for men.
That was long hair.
That was long lockdown hair, wasn't it? No, I think having played that, Ed won the right to win for Fantasy Hangar for the next 6 months. So I should probably explain. I saw something in the comments about new airplane, so a few colours and a USB port. That is true. There was a couple of other bits and pieces that got cut out of the video. Otherwise, we'd be sitting here for listening to Ivy for 30 minutes on the new Cirrus. There are various bits around the baggage door, some lighting stuff, and some other bits and pieces. But you're right. It's an evolutionary year rather than a revolutionary year. Cirrus take the kind of, I think the G6 has been around since 2017, so they only change a generation when some really significant stuff happens, and in the meantime, they change other things, which compared to most other airframe manufacturers out there, is a fast rate of change compared to an awful lot. I can't imagine that very much happens in the others. In fact, I know that not very much happens in the others in comparison. But that said, 1.2 million for an Arrive, which is the kind of top of the line, is a punch amount of money for a 4.5, 5-seat single engine piston, and there certainly won't be a brand new one of them. Yep, I agree with you, David. I would buy an airfield if I had it's $1.2 million. Not quite as bad as that. Of course, you got to have VAT onto it as well.
But I think what's interesting is the fact that they made some of their updates may be small, but they're updates, and it's the kind of thing that keeps like she says, the new people buying. I mean, how many other manufacturers get to see a huge chunk of non-aviation people coming along and going, hey, I'd like to give you large amounts of money and join in with aviation? That's fantastic.
No, absolutely, yeah. And they are expensive. Not everyone, including me, can get anywhere close to affording one. But they have also managed to pretty much top the sales charts for the last 10, 12 years or something like that. So they're clearly doing something right, aren't they? So anyway, there you go. Talking of Cirrus, Dave, I think you've got a slightly different story.
Another good news story. This is a chap called Clayton Smelts, who has moved up from a piston aircraft to gaining a jet type rating. In this case, in a Cirrus Vision jet. Getting a jet type rating from a piston aircraft is a really big deal. It's the whole theory thing. There's the flying, getting to grips with the avionics, getting to grips with a different way of handling power, and he's done it, and it's incredible. What's even more interesting about this one is that Clayton worked with Cirrus to develop and fit special hand controls. There is a little video. You can see the controls here. On the website, we do have a little video of him operating it and landing the aircraft. We haven't quite got the rights to show it here, but it's a very interesting thing about the way he's managed to make this aircraft, to get the rating and to fly it.
Yeah, so no small feat to get basically rudder and brakes, and to get that approved and fitted. Something which I'm sure Airability are very familiar with as well.
Yeah. Fantastic of Cirrus to have done that, and well done to Clayton.
Yeah. No, well done, Clayton. Well done, Clayton. Johnny.
Yeah, so Garmin, they've announced that the Smart Glide Tech, which is the new safety tool that helps you with loss of engine power. They're going to be releasing that as a free software update for the G3X Touch and the G5, as long as you've got a GTN XI series navigator. So that joins they had the Award Collier Trophy winning Autoland system. So it's another piece of Garmin technology that's out there that's reducing workload, enhancing safety, that kind of thing. And if you can't remember how Smart Glide works, it's a button push. It's a button push. And if you've got it paired with an autopilot, Smart Glide will pitch for best glide speed, and it will navigate you to the vicinity of the nearest airfield, basically, and then you take over from there. And if there's no airfield, I think it gives you some kind of audio or visual alert to the direction and heading to fly, but it still pitches for best glide speed. So it's a really good bit of kit, and it means that more aircraft will now be able to be fitted with it. So,
do you think this guy should have?
That was definitely not Smart Glide. That was Dumb Glide.
That was Dumb Jump, wasn't it?
Yeah. In fact, the aeroplane flew better without him.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's true. Ed, talking of funky airplanes.
Yes, good news from Navy Wings, which is the commemorative flight section of the Royal Navy. They've had a donation which has allowed them to purchase the sole-flying Supermarine Mark 17 Seafire. This fabulous thing on screen. It's a well-known and historic aircraft, and it's joined the Navy Wings collection. First time They've had a little bit of bad luck in the past. They lost to Sea Fury last year, and this is a fantastic addition. Obviously, the Seafire is the naval version of the Spitfire, modified to operate from aircraft carriers during the Second World War. It's the only airworthy Seafire Mark 17, and I think there's maybe a Merlin-powered Seafire, possibly one other Griffin-powered one, but they're pretty rare compared to Spitfires. This one's been meticulously restored, and it's going to be based at Yeovilton, which is where fighter pilots trained on Seafires during World War II. So that's fantastic. So hopefully we'll see that around at air shows this year.
Let's hope so. And Johnny, it must be time for Where's Zara, surely?
Yes, she's in Greece, in Heraklion at the moment. She's stuck there due to a bit of weather. And the projected return date is now the 17th back into Belgium. So she should be landing at about 10:30 in the morning on the 17th. Fingers crossed.
Amazing. So close.
Yeah, the whole map thing here, I was trying to get it. I was trying to get it to shrink enough so you could put a whole route on screen, but it reached the limit of its zooming capacity, and couldn't get it around. So unfortunately, you haven't got the whole route on screen. My little quick story next. There's this piece of joy and unbridled fun that arrived. It's the Draft Airspace Modernisation Strategy 2022 to 2040. Part 1. There are 3 parts, 2 of which have been published and are being consulted on. The CA's Airspace Modernisation Strategy was actually published back in 2018, so this is a refreshed version of that. There's lots and lots of keywords in there. I had to write them down because I couldn't remember them. Quieter, quicker, simpler, safe, integrated airspace, flexible airspace, dynamic airspace, electronic flight bags, etc., etc., etc. It talks about general aviation, planning flights on basically on tablets and using apps and stuff, and submitting plans. So it kind of hints that there might be a finding a flight plan for every flight. Whether that's a good or a bad thing is up to you. I personally think it's a bad thing, but I guess it depends what you get back in return. And the airspace will be runway dependent in some ways. So if Southampton's on one runway, then the airspace will be activated to suit that. If it changes runway, the airspace will change as well, and that stuff will be promulgated in theory in real time to your app in the cockpit. So all sorts of funky technological things there. Plenty of potential traps and some potential benefits. Of course, And today, it also talks about getting rid of ATZs and replacing those with RMZs, so radio mandatory zones, and certain airfields having, if they're busy in Class G, getting TMZs and stuff like that. And yeah, Martin, you're right, as long as we've got airfields to fly to. So it's a fairly all-encompassing, complex thing, and it's full of CA-type turgid copy that's hard to read and acronyms all over the place. And frankly, it's not one of those things that you think, I just really love to, I can't wait to read that. It's great. It's almost as good as Typhoon or something. But that said, it is important. You've got till April to have a look at it and make your views known to the CEA. And I suggest it's well worth doing that, particularly in light of the other stuff that came out today, which is CA policy on things like RMZ and TMZs, particularly if RMZ become important instead of ATZs, because in theory, at least, there's a possibility that if you're told to stand by, you cannot go in. So it's kind of a little bit like controlled airspace that isn't controlled airspace, or potentially it is. Who knows? Anyway, have a read of it. We'll be reading it and digesting it over the next week or so, so a little bit more detail then. But it's one of those things that is incredibly dull, incredibly hard for simple people like myself to wade through, but important too. So have a read and have your view. So there you go. That's all I'm going to say on that subject. Before passing over to Dave to give us an update, or unless someone else wants to add some things, sorry.
It's slightly terrifying to think of airspace that alters depending on what the runway is. It's like being caught by a traffic light camera, isn't it? It's like the airspace changed while you were flying past and you ended up infringing because the airspace altered around you.
Yeah, dynamic airspace, and you see it moving on the map, and you then have to try and outrun it.
You can't outrun the airspace.
I mean, trying to look on the positive side. If you have an airfield, not that many airfields have got 3 runways anymore, but if you have an airfield with multiple runways, then the airspace is calculated to take into account all of the various approaches to those runways and the go arounds and the kind of protected holds and stuff like that. So at any one time, kind of, maybe a huge chunk of that airspace is not actually needed. So it is good to remove it, and less airspace, as far as we're concerned, generally is a good thing. However, less airspace, as Johnny says, as it gradually changes on Skydemon, get full power. But that said, in France, France has long kind of runs its own flexible airspace in many ways, although they don't do it in quite a complex way like that. So you might have an airfield that's open for 1 or 2 commercial movements during the day, and during those commercial movements, the airspace will be activated, and the rest of the time it won't. And you just effectively call up, and on first contact, if there's no one there, it sort of sets off a tape recorder, and you hear this recording. And it says the zones of XYZ are currently closed. They're closed until such and such a time, and you can sort of go on and fill your boots and do whatever you like. And then a certain amount of time, whether it's half an hour, 15 minutes or so, I'm not sure, before it opens up again, the recording changes to say it'll be open at 2 o'clock, or there's someone on the radio saying, yeah, come through. So it can be managed. You just need a little bit of notice and a little bit of sensible stuff. I think potentially it could be good. I see John saying it's not possible. There's a reason you're allowed until April to take. Yeah, I mean, that's only 2 parts of it. There's the third part yet to come. And if you really want to comment on it, you should probably go back and look at the one in 2018 and see what the difference is. And unfortunately, for people like us who fly for the pure fun of flying, having to wade through that kind of stuff is really, really hard work. We'll see if we can get it translated into plain English. We could even invite the CAA on to come and explain what it is in kind of plain language, but we're not having much luck with inviting the CAA on anywhere to talk about anything. I've been trying to get them to talk about just culture for probably over 6 months now. But right now, I can't even get a reply to an email. So anyway, there you go. Tell us about something good, Dave. Tell us about
Fly 2022.
Fly 2022. This is our new project to get people flying more in 2022. There's lots of exciting stuff happening. There's various companies lining up to get involved, to sponsor things and offer prizes. We've already announced that Echelon Air is offering £2,022 worth of free flying in a Cirrus SR. Fantastic. Who wouldn't want that? Next issue of the magazine will have a bunch of ideas which we've collated to extend your flying. And we'll be launching a special area on the Flyer Forum to keep everyone informed and in touch. And so far, it's been among the ideas that have come forward. There's a few things that seem to be on a lot of people's wish list. The Italian Raduno. This is the flying in Italy, organised by chap on the forum known as African Eagle. There's Lundy Sunday, although there's a bit of a problem there. Glen Falls. Lots of people want to put Glen Falls on their wish list. They must go there. Cross-channel flying is another one. And, of course, good old France is changing the rules tonight, so people can sort of go across there. Exactly how general aviation is involved, we've yet to find out. But they are changing the rules. The other thing that comes out is the idea of having ad hoc fly-ins. Excuse me. Along the lines of the weather this weekend looks good. Let's meet at so-and-so. So there's a lot of good ideas, a lot of good things coming out, including one from our regular contributor, Paul Kiddle, about taking other people flying. That's a good one to do as well. Get other people interested.
But Flight 2022 is all about flying 22 minutes, isn't it? That's your target for this year. You know, for some it's a big target, some it's a small target. But 33 hours, did we say? 42 minutes?
That's it. Yep.
I think I've been really surprised by the way it's kind of grown already in enthusiasm, and the amount of people that have embraced it, and the amount of companies that are talking to us about saying how can we get involved? What can we do? So I think we're kind of like talking to quite a few people at the moment. So we're kind of batting a few ideas around. There'll be some good prizes. I wonder if we shouldn't have a kind of big end of season prize award gathering somewhere or something. Although that's always a little bit weather dependent, but.
Yes.
But yeah, there's 1,942 minutes left for me. Wow.
Yeah. I've got two challenges this year. The 2022, which minutes of flying, which I'm kind of shouldn't be too much of a challenge, hopefully, touch wood. And I'm also going to ride 2,022 miles, which equally shouldn't be outrageously difficult, but probably a little bit harder than the flying. But anyway, there you go. So that's good. So really excited about that, and watch here, watch the website, watch the magazine for further developments, because that's going to start ramping up pretty soon now. So jolly good. That is the end of the news, unless anyone's got anything else. So it must be time for the interview. Kanchana, let's bring you in. There you go. Hello. Hang on a second. I'll just move you top left, and then I'll just make you. Big. There you go.
Hi, everybody. I was just practicing my L'Oreal hair flick, but it didn't quite work that well.
That's going to have to become a thing, isn't it? Everyone.
I think so. Yeah.
If we ever bring back the right stuff quiz, it's going to be do I see a L'Oreal hair?
It did it so well that I think I'm just going to embarrass myself. So I'll just stick to
sitting down. In time for me. Hopefully, it will never return.
Oh, it will. Good. Well, thanks for. Go on, Ed.
No, that wasn't me. That was Ian, I think.
I thought you said it would never return.
What, long hair? I'm kind of hoping I'll never have to go back to having long hair.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the video. I was about to prove you wrong. Never mind. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Johnny, take it away.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us, Kanchana. I've just realised actually my face is half obscured. So
I'm going to move it. Don't worry. I'm on it.
Oh, it's lovely to be here, Johnny. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah,
always
thanks for
happy
joining
to talk
us.
about planes and flying, and so very happy to be here.
So the first question we normally ask everybody is tell us a bit about who you are and how you got into aviation. So what's your story?
Yeah, well, I think you and I met actually on Instagram many years ago when I first set up the Aviatrix Project. So I got into flying actually only a few years ago in 2015, having always wanted to fly. And I grew up in Sri Lanka, flight path to Colombo Airport, used to see all these jets, taking off, landing, and thought I'd love to give it a go. And then moved to France, moved here, and took a really, really long time to get my license, and we'll hopefully come on to that later. But in the end, got it and set up the Aviatrix Project, and met Johnny, and I think Ian, we've come across each other, and Dave as well, various interviews and things about the Aviatrix, and here I am.
Oh, so just tell us a bit about the project itself. Is it run by you yourself, or is it a team of people?
Yeah, well, we've got a board of directors. It's a community interest company. So it was set up in 2015. and we've got about 460 volunteers now. And I notice in your comments, actually, we've got quite a lot of our volunteers are watching, which is fantastic. Kat Burton being one of them. She was one of my first sort of school visits, though she is there. You know, she's a BWPA member, and I'm on the one of the committees for the BWPA, supporting them with STEM, etc. So I met lots and lots of people through that, and I've just found aviation to be this amazing sort of welcoming community, and it's really grown from there, really, and taken off, excuse the pun. So essentially, it's a project which, at the beginning, I was thinking about encouraging more women and girls into aviation. But actually, one of the reasons that it took me so long to get my PPL was just finances, and we just didn't have the money growing up. And I'm really keen to offer sort of opportunities for men, women, girls, boys from disadvantaged backgrounds across the UK and further afield, really, to get into aviation, and not necessarily commercial aviation. I'm a big fan, and I'm really passionate about encouraging GA. So that's really helped the project as well in terms of kind of working out our aims and where we want to head.
Yeah. So what kind of things are the volunteers actually going out and doing?
Yeah, so mostly school visits, so primary, secondary, early years. We've done universities, colleges, careers fairs. We work with sort of Bentley Priory, the Royal Aeronautical Society, Shuttleworth, RIAT. So we've, you know, gone and actually created sort of workshops and activities to work with the general public as well as schools as well, and STEM, you know, STEM ambassadors really, and getting them to run sessions. It's not necessarily about getting people to want to be commercial pilots and get into the right hand seat of a jet. That's not really the aim of the project. That's great if they want to do that, and you know, I can see you know, great benefit to that. And actually, at one point, that's what I wanted to do. But I really want to give people a flavour and a taste of all the different types of flying that's out there, not just flying, but actually the careers in aviation. It's just vast. Like, people don't know, young people especially don't have a clue about what's out there and what an exciting world it is to get involved in. You know, and we've got male and female volunteers, and that's really important to me, that it's not just about women and girls, because actually we all need to work together. You know, it's just about representation, really.
And has the pandemic kind of had an impact on you being able to do that voluntary work, or is it been done kind of like this?
Absolutely, you know, and it's all gone virtual, and yeah, it's worked really well actually, and it's allowed us to work with schools in Malaysia, Sri Lanka, France. We've got a couple of visits in Ireland next week, and you know, I wouldn't have considered branching out in that way had we not had the pandemic. And also, you know, we've got pilot volunteers all across the UK, and they wouldn't have been able to necessarily work with us because of, you know, schedules and being on standby and all kinds of things. And actually now it gives people the opportunity to do both, which is fab. And, you know, the whole point about hard to reach communities, it's that they are hard to reach. And having this kind of virtual element, especially for young people, it's been amazing. You know, you can appear on people's phones, you know, through this kind of medium. So really getting into sort of the right kind of people that we want to reach out to. So
yeah. And aside from the financial aspect, what else frustrated you about aviation, about the industry?
Oh, many things. Well, money. I mean, I'm sure every single person will agree. I was looking at the prices of the Cirrus. I've flown a Cirrus a couple of times, and you know, lovely plane. You know, I can't afford to fly one, let alone buy one. So you know, it would be great to own it. I'd happily take a pink one if it was offered to me for free. One of the frustrations for me was I've been in education for a really long time, and I was working out before the this interview, actually, Johnny, about how many years I've been in education and how long it's taken me to get into aviation. And it's been about 21 years, really, where I've kind of struggled to carve out a career, really, in aviation. And yeah, one of the frustrations for me being ahead of sort of primary schools, you know, at one stage of my life was just the unknown about aviation, the fact that it's just elite and, you know, it's for rich white men, essentially. It's what schools promote and what actually teachers promote, and obviously that's a huge generalization, so please don't you know, take that sort of as gospel. But you know, it's the idea that aviation isn't for everybody, and I think it is. I think there's so many different elements that we can offer to everybody, whether you want to fly or not. And you know, I'm really passionate about offering information and ideas about all the different types of flying. We've got balloonists on our volunteers, on our list of volunteers, helicopter pilots, ATCOs, engineers, all sorts of people. And I just think it's really exciting to offer that, really. So.
Now, tell us about yourself then. So what do you fly? Where do you fly from? And what sort of future aspirations have you got for adding ratings and all the
as
other
opposed
fun
to
things?
what do I fly? Anything that I can get my hands on. Mostly I love Cessna 152, so please don't laugh. That is my favorite thing, is what I learned to fly in, and I just find it incredibly forgiving. And I mostly fly from Elstree. That's where I learned to fly. I was in a sim. Ian asked me earlier, actually, when was the last time I flew? And it was actually this morning. I flew a 737 simulator at the University of West London, which was fab. I don't necessarily have commercial aspirations. I did at one stage. And to be honest, I just couldn't afford it. It just wasn't going to work for me. And I've got a young family. And that's why I decided that actually I was going to set up this project. It's going to allow me to fly and actually get other people involved and give opportunities as well. I've got a night rating. I've done quite a lot of aerobatics. I just want to do, as much flying as I can, really, over. There's someone else who's clearly flying from Elstree. Just want to get out there and do lots of flying and actually run events and free flights and, those sorts of types of things that we've done before, really, at airfields this year, because we've not been able to do that. And that's one of the lovely things that opening up, going to a GA airfield and running an event, because lots of families I meet from all different backgrounds say, oh, well, we didn't know we could even go and visit. We didn't know that we could sit in the cafe at Elstree and watch the runway. We thought you had to have a pass, or, people don't realise that it's actually completely open, almost all of them. So it's great to be able to offer that kind of events, really.
Yeah, and you're one of the DFT's ambassadors, aren't you? Aviation ambassadors.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Good comment. What's the brief from them? Do you get a brief on what you need to be doing?
Well, we find out tomorrow, Johnny. We have our first meeting workshop tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about, really working with young people and how we can promote aviation. I'm going to be starting a role with the CAA very soon as well. So, although I don't quite yet work for the CAA, and you almost got somebody from the CAA on the show. So I'll be doing some.
They probably found you.
I probably won't be allowed to come on the show, but here I am now before I get my badge. So it'd be really exciting to work with some of the other ambassadors as well. And it's a really varied group of people doing all sorts of really exciting things. So very much look forward to that. So
good stuff. Now, what do you think the average pilot can help, in their day-to-day flying? I'm not talking about volunteering, but just how do you think people like us can help get younger people and people from disadvantaged backgrounds into aviation?
I think just being, as open as you can. I've been really lucky. I did an interview recently with Mike from Take Flight Aviation for Cockpit Conversations, and we talked about this. And I actually don't really believe in positive discrimination. I don't think it's about, just women or just people from disadvantaged backgrounds. I think it's just about having a level playing field, really. And the more people of different backgrounds, ages, etc., who can talk about flying, and the more of these kind of events that we can do, the more we can sort of excite people and inspire them and just go out there, really. I think social media is great, and just being open-minded and being open to people who might have questions and things. And I listened to one of your interviews, I can't remember who it was actually, this morning in the car. And something really resonated with me, because when I was younger, I had, we had no internet, we didn't have mobile phones, and I was at university, had no idea how to get hold of somebody to ask advice for how to be a pilot or join the RAF. And now I've got young people, parents contacting me, and it's great, even if people can't volunteer, that they can be open to maybe having a chat with somebody. If you see young people or parents or families around at the airfield, just even smiling and maybe starting a conversation, just to show that actually it's not an elite. I know we want to feel that we are elite, and in one sense we are, because how lucky are we to be able to do what we do. But actually it's it's a world that should be open to everybody, in all different ways, really.
Yeah. So if you were to join in with our kind of Fly 2022 challenge, where would you go? Any top destinations?
Oh, I wish I could fly to Sri Lanka, but probably up to Scotland actually, and Snowdonia. So it's not, hugely exciting in terms of, some of the long journeys that people do. But I love flying over the UK. I've flown to France, Belgium, etc. So done all of that. But for me, I just absolutely love flying over England. I flew over Sri Lanka actually in November for the first time, and that was amazing to fly over the beach that I grew up on, watching the planes from. So that was a real kind of full circle moment for me. So probably doing more flying in Sri Lanka around the coastline, and going up to Scotland, Snowdonia. I've done that before, but it would be great to do it again now that I've got a few more hours under my belt, really.
Yeah,
I'm a bit more confident to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure Belgium must be closer than Snowdonia if you're from Elstree.
Yeah, definitely. Well, France is closer, definitely, to go to Le Touquet. It's a 43 minutes, isn't it? If you've got the right winds.
Yeah. So finally, just if people do want to get involved and volunteer and help out, what's the best way of them doing so?
Yeah, so we're on, all the social media. If they just drop me an email, that would be fab. So I'm not sure, Johnny, what the best way to sort of share that is. But yeah, if they just get in contact, like I said, I've got a board of directors. I've got loads of volunteers who manage, all sorts of aspects of the work that we do. But yeah, it'd be really great to hear from anyone really who's happy to just have a chat or volunteer on a more formal basis. There's all sorts of things that we do, mentoring, school visits. So definitely, or just to, even, sort of spread the word really of the work that we're doing, and share what's going on. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ed's just popped or somebody, might have been Ed, popped the
Fabulous
web address in the comments for people.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll share your email address as well. I'll get that out and post it before the end of the show. But thank you very much for joining us. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you, Johnny. Yeah, been lovely to be here, and I look forward to working with you guys a bit more this year.
We look forward to it. So it must be time for.
Great stuff. What a great guest.
There we go.
It's a giant Johnny.
Hang on, Johnny. I need to move you back because you've got a dark corner in your office.
Yeah. So it's time for Fancy Hanger. After hearing the great news that Farway Common Airstrip has been purchased by an aviation enthusiast and will remain part of the UK Strip network and fly-in calendar, we thought, what would be the perfect strip fly-in machine for those summer fly-ins? And we made this a little more challenging by making it all about finding something in the classifieds this week. So who's first?
You are.
I'm first. Hooray. So I was doing my trawling and I went far afield for this. And interestingly, someone correctly predicted what my choice might be in the very early opening comments, or at least predicted it would have a trousered undercarriage, because I found this wonderful Dh90 Dragonfly. It's for sale with Classic Aircraft Services in New Zealand. Only 2 exist out of the 67 that de Havilland built. One lives in the UK at Biggin Hill. You might have seen it. It's red. This one was restored and flew in the UK before being sold to New Zealand. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to have this one back in the UK? What a fabulous way to attend some fly-ins. Farway Common included, with 2 or 3 friends plus a picnic. So it's got 242 horsepower Gypsy major engines, cruises at 105 knots, 500 nautical mile range, and it's happy operating in and out of 500 meters. And hopefully sometime, who knows, if I got it back, maybe I'd end up with 2 Dragonflies at the same place at the same time. That would be a treat to see. But before you ask, there's no price on the advert, which makes me think this is definitely going to have to start a Friends of Ed's for his crazy scheme to buy a Dragonfly crowdfunding scheme. So who's with me?
So I guess the question is, do we bother? Do each of us actually have to have a fantasy hanger these days, given that Ed just wins it all the time?
It's not always guaranteed. It's not always guaranteed.
Ed's hanger. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Chris Holiday says, how much is it, Ed? Now, new in 1935, it was £2,600, and that's £188,000 today. I don't think that Dragonfly that's for sale is going to be as cheap as £188,000. So yeah. So Chris is there. Like you're number one in the crowdfunding.
Don't you have to allot part of the payload as your oil supply as well?
It's a dripsy. It's it's kind of total loss. And as we said, earlier we were chatting about this. You turn up, and yes, it's fantastic. You can put your picnic blanket out underneath and have your picnic as it slightly drips oil on you. So Graham Park has found a flaw in my plan. Have I got my twin rating? I haven't got my twin rating. But I think if I somehow ended up with that aeroplane to take to a fly-in, I would work on a twin rating.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that was. I'd like to know what that climb's like on one engine. It probably just reduces the rate of descent, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like a
I think it's one of those older airplanes where one engine just takes you to the scene of the crash.
Forced landing. Scene of the forced landing.
Scene of the forced landing. Yes.
Always positive.
If you equipped it with Garmin Smart Glide, you'd be all right.
I don't think that actually makes it any better, does it? The Garmin Smart Glide would go, it's where you're over at the moment.
Well, I'm up next, and I've gone the opposite end of the scale. I haven't gone for something that was built in 1872 or something that's got unreliable leaky engines and all the rest of it. I went for a Maul M7. I mean, what better kind of strip airplane is there than a Maul? Well, there's quite a few actually, but this particular Maul is kind of stunning. This is the turbine Maul, an absolutely bonkers combination. 420 horsepower in a Maul. You can take off in, I think, probably, well, depending on whether you're going for the 50-foot obstacle, the mythical tree or not, but you're probably looking 150 to 200 meters and not too far similar to land. You can take 4 people in and out of pretty much anywhere. Makes an amazing noise when you start it up. Darren Lewington, Ian doesn't win. No, surely not. This has got to be. I mean, you can fly between your fly-ins almost at the speed of a Cirrus. So I think you can do 165 knots, although you've got to be up at 20,000 feet to do it. But you can certainly zip along with 420 horsepower. So when the time it takes Ed to visit one fly-in, I could visit 4.
Is it for sale, Ian? Did you find it in the classifieds?
Yes, it took a bit of trouble, and I originally found one. I thought, brilliant, I found one. And I sort of dug around a bit, and it was okay. So that was 5 years ago, so it might not still be for sale. But this one's in South Carolina. Not that one. That particular one is not for sale. But the one that I found is in South Carolina, and there's a video of a guy of an aircraft salesperson who's kind of like the archetypal U.S. Southern salesperson. I won't do an impression because it would be embarrassing for me, and he'd probably sue me if he ever found out. But I think that's there was no price mention, but there was mention of it being. I think you could probably expect to spend. They're hoping to get something like $600,000 to $700,000 from the hints that were being dropped.
Okay,
which I think is a bit of a punchy price. I probably wouldn't pay that for one.
And that's a cool aeroplane, but I fear you might be a bit Clarkson-esque at a fly-in as you start up and you kind of blow jet A fumes all over everyone and blow their picnics away as you go power.
Yeah, you're right. I'd like turn. You know that little sound we get tick 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 just before it ignites, and you open the door and go, "Don't you know who I am? Out the way!" No, I wouldn't do that. Clearly, obviously, but I can see where you're coming from. Just one last look at that, just to prove Darren Lewington wrong. I mean, look at that. I think that's a great. No, not a nose wheel more. Keir, no, definitely not. If it was a choice between flying a gyroplane or a nose wheel more, it would be a tough choice. I'm not sure which I'd go for. Thank you, Mark. It's a great choice. There you go.
The more owner endorses your choice.
Do you two still want to bother?
What should we do, Dave?
Go for it.
Right, okay. Well, somebody said I must be choosing a Luscombe, and I did go looking for a Luscombe. I found one for sale, but it's on a C of A, not a permit. I just thought, you can't really like that really with a Luscombe. So anyway, I remember flying in a Aeropract A22 Foxbat once. Here it is. It's not the one I flew in, unfortunately, but I did fly in one once, and it was brilliant. It was a lovely aeroplane and great for taking off from practically anywhere. I flew it from Chirk Airfield, which is, if you've ever been there, it's basically back then it was churned up with loads of ruts and you couldn't really see the runway. Anyway, Ray Everett, who I was flying with, said, just put the brakes on, apply full power, stick right back, release the brakes, count. 1, 2, 3, we're airborne before we even hit a single rut. And it's just, you can get this thing in and out of anywhere. And it's fun to fly. It's got great visibility out. This one is actually the Super Sport 600. It's on sale for £69,000, which I think is still, that's about right, I guess. It's only got 176 hours on it, registered in 2014. It's on an LAA permit. I think that's a very nice aeroplane.
And where is the Foxbat made, Dave?
It's in Ukraine.
Ah, good.
Yes.
Remembering your last international incident where you upset Russia.
I upset Ukraine because I called it Russia.
Oh, you upset Ukraine. That's it, by saying it was made in Russia.
Yes.
You know that's why there's 100,000 Russian troops on the Ukrainian border. It's basically so they can get their honor back. We did build the Foxbat.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that, Ukraine.
Comrade Calderwood. That
Which
just
leaves
leaves Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny,
Go on, flash that picture up. I've gone.
you forgot.
That's classically British.
Yeah, see, it's got what I think is a really good paint scheme. It's practical because it's got a tail wheel and differential braking, which doesn't mean it's the Canadian Tiger Moth. It is British built and it was modified with the differential braking. But I think there's no better way to pitch up to a fly-in, either on your own or with a mate, in a Tiger Moth. And it's for sale for, any guesses?
72,000.
Ooh, £73,000.
Oh, not bad. Not bad guess. But tail wheel, Johnny, on your Moth.
Practical. Yeah.
No.
You just know that other Moth aficionados will walk over to you with their moustaches.
Yeah, and they'll look at your Moth, which, given that you got a tail wheel, has probably got a full Garmin glass screen suite inside it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Head top of the table.
There's a facility on this software, I think, where you can boot people out of the comments, isn't there?
But it's still going to make you win.
Aviator Steve came up and accused the Maul of being characterless. Now, I would normally agree that a Maul is, but a turbine Maul, that's got big tyres. It's not characterless.
I've got to say, the turbine Maul is a good choice, and that is an awesome aeroplane.
It is an awesome aeroplane. Yeah.
Oh, Kia's gone.
See you, Kia. Must be getting towards your bedtime, eh?
That's it. Yeah. Oh, Dave, feel some love.
Oh,
Dave wins.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't.
Oh, there's another one.
Good.
Oh, Johnny second place. That was good. Yeah.
So I think probably Ed's got it. Johnny may not have it.
Oh, don't. What is? Yeah.
What?
Ian wins. Ian's the
Thank you,
winner.
Graham. Thank you, John.
I think this might be a
difficult one.
Yeah, Catkin would say that, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
There you go.
Let's be modern. We're all winners.
Yeah. Let's be inclusive.
Yes.
We
Well,
can
we'll
take
take
that.
that as a group win. We've all got good choices. If we go to a fly-in, I think everyone's going to be happy as long as Ian doesn't do the turbine thing and gas us all.
Right. Moving on, because we are 3 minutes over time this week somehow. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I was a little bit worried we'd come up short this week. But what have we got next? Have we got some events, Dave? Tell us about some events.
It's mid-January, so there's not very much on. One event coming up, which people might like to book, because you do have to book, is at Shuttleworth on the 18th and 20th to the 20th of February. They're having their open workshop. Now, if you like engineering stuff, like I do, then this is a fascinating thing. And I'm probably going to have to make my way up there in well, hopefully it might be enough by going by aeroplane, but it's probably going to be HMS Discovery otherwise.
In your Foxbat, maybe.
In Foxbat, that'd be great. Yes.
Okay, and which Johnny? There must be some club selling to be done.
Yeah, so I spoke to Dave Barrell from Aero Supermatics, Wingwalker pilot, earlier today, who's finished. He's got a presentation all about his ditching in the Poole Harbour, so he's going to deliver that possibly next week or week after to club members. So that will be a really interesting thing to watch and listen and understand how he dealt with it all. So club members, you can join in on that. If you're not a club member and you want to join, £7.50 per quarter for now.
Is it a bring your own snorkel?
Sorry?
Is it a bring your own snorkel?
Sorry. Yeah, now he's officially a member of the Goldfish Club. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? So yeah, club members, if you're not a member, join fly.co.uk, £7.50 per quarter for now. Get it while the price is that before it goes up.
Big changes on the way.
Mm.
Big changes on the way. Yeah, well, I think that just about ties it up for tonight, doesn't it? So unless anyone's got anything else, I'd like to thank the team. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We look forward to seeing you next week. If you're a club member, we'll see you on Wednesday afternoon. If you're not a club member, you can be by next Wednesday afternoon. Otherwise, we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend flying. Watch out for the fog. And we'll see you all soon. See you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Fly safe.